Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To some of you and peace out to the rest of you. You already know who it is and who it ain't. I'm not going to tie you up very long, but I'm not even going to go through the whole intro. I'm just going to go ahead and get straight to the topic. I'm not covering Mr. Jaxn again because of his importance as an individual. I'm covering him because of the importance of the lesson that we can learn. Because these are things we can tell younger men that we know and can help out. I want to give a shout out to one of the gentlemen from the Hebrew Israelite camp that sent something to me about where he's from, which apparently is Enterprise, Alabama. If you all have information that says he's from somewhere else, feel free to point me in the direction of that. I'm simply going off of what was sent to me. But if he's from Enterprise, Alabama, or even if he's from other than that, but a place with the same population, I'm going to walk you through what goes on, because some of you will understand this if you hear someone else vocalize it, because you will remember seeing this happen to others. I'm not sure when he got with Miss Jaxn, whether it was in high school or college. I'm not really sure. What I do know is, let's say, now he went to college in Tuskegee. Going to college in Tuskegee is one thing, and you have to be careful in that Macon County area, really, because to go to college there, well, it's like this. You're a college guy. You're out in the middle of the woods. You're not in a city like if you go to college in Atlanta. Clark Atlanta students, Morehouse, Spelman, and ITC students are in a city. A majority black city too. To go to college as a black youth, Atlanta's not bad. To try to earn a living there, effing sucks. If you get a good job in Atlanta, it's great, but I never once in my life at any time had a job really worth keeping in Atlanta the whole time I lived there. It is against the heterosexual black male. Add to that, I became Muslim. It was really not going to work. They don't play. Sister girl is in control of a lot of them jobs, and a lot of them know. They understand. They're in control of the jobs, but even then, someone's in control of them. And they start bringing in all these heterosexual black men, especially Muslims. They're going to be questioned about it. Last time I was really looked out for by some sisters at a job was 2005. Yeah. That's when it was last time it happened at a job site. Now, it happened in an educational context later on. But at a job site, the last time that happened was there. That's 16 years ago. Fast forward 4 years later, about to finish up an educational program, I had to go ahead and tell my father that things had changed in the job market. Now, no, I take it back. When I was back in my hometown, 2013, there was one sister that really looked out. It was in her best interest too, though. There was one that really looked out. Sorry, I take that back. But that was in my hometown. In Atlanta, that's not what happens anymore. So I want you to understand Atlanta, where he now lives, versus Tuskegee and Enterprise, where he grew up and went to college. In these little small rural southern towns, and some of you in the audience who live in these areas know what I'm talking about, you don't find these beauty queens that you're going to find in major urban centers. I mean, for one, if you find someone that's gorgeous out in the countryside, she already has in her mind looking like this, ain't no further mucking way I'm going to stay here in this little small country, no good town. Not happening. Who can blame them? Now, they may underestimate what's going to happen when they get to the city. That's different, but they got to get there first. When they're young and they're growing up, no, they ain't gonna let no country bumpkin hold them back, especially if they get exposed to a major urban environment on vacations when they're young. They're not gonna do that. You ain't gonna come from that same area, live in that same life, work in the same job, come to them, and now all of a sudden, here you are, able to snag them and keep them. It ain't the way that works unless, of course, you are Brother Jaxn. Meaning you have the build, you've got that phenotype, and you've got that height. Now, Someone like that probably could. But even still, suppose the best looking lady out there is typical for that region. See, I remember when I was at college in Atlanta, and I was older than these cats, but some guys came from my hometown to college. I saw them because they went to Morehouse. So I still saw them in Atlanta. And so I remember asking one, bruh, don't you have a girlfriend back? He said, well, I do, but see, these girls here ain't my girlfriends. They were in this house. Now, he was a fairly tall, athletic fella back in our hometown. But he said, well, they're friends, but you know what? Yeah, I could smash if I wanted. We weren't using that term back then. I said, oh, okay, got it. All right, they just friends, but I mean, it's not like I'm gonna rat you out. I don't even know your girlfriend's number or anything, so you don't have to worry about that from me in any case. However, you got to keep in mind that she's aware that you out here. She might be spying on you independently of me. That's why I'm trying to get someone to do it, because they'll do stuff like that. And he said, well, if she does bounce, so what? He straight up said, he said, she's just a regular Biloxi hoe. I was like, okay, all right. Gotcha. All right, man. Now, my man straight said that. That's what he said. That's how he said it. He didn't. There's one thing he didn't explain, but he didn't have to. And that was who he was coming across in Atlanta, and also the fact that they could smell other women on him. So I became very understanding at a young age. Even before this point, I came to understand that women wanted the same few men. There wasn't some, well, he's my type and that's your type. It wasn't like that. There was nothing egalitarian about it. They want the same few men, and they would even admit it. So I want you to take Enterprise, which I'm very sure is much smaller than any one of these cities on that I-10 corridor. I'm pretty sure that Enterprise is smaller even than Lafayette or Lake Charles. And they're the more medium-sized cities you're going to come across. So Enterprise is definitely smaller than Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Houston, Gulfport or Biloxi, Mobile or Pensacola. The Enterprise, I'm pretty sure, about the size of Dothan, Alabama, it looks like. So what I'm getting at is that you already know how plain these country broads can be. Tuskegee would have been mind-blowing to him, because you still have people from different parts of the country going there, even though it's out in the countryside. But then he goes from Tuskegee up to Alabama. And Montgomery ain't too far away from Tuskegee, but then you go up into Atlanta from Tuskegee, Alabama. Now, Macon County is an area where you got to be on guard, because, see, especially if you're a college guy, because if you're a college guy, you could still get with the local women that ain't going to see no parts of a college classroom. You could do that. But syphilis is still very prevalent there to this day because of the experiments that were done. You know, the ones that became the first Negro conspiracy theory and turned out to be true. That's why I don't automatically diss people's conspiracy theories. I diss people when they buy into every single one of them and don't question the veracity. But in any case, yeah, you see those experiments went on. And to this day, if you go to Tuskegee, you got to be careful, because it's going to be them young chicken head locals that ain't about to go to no college. They're looking for a come up, and some of them got that bug, and some of them know they got it. They know they got it, and they want to pass it on to someone else. That's why I say, when women should be approaching men, yeah, we should pretty much make it so that they have to do it. But understand, in the beginning, there's going to be a time, even if we were succeeding in forcing that, there would be a transitional period in which women would be approaching men and be suspect, just like it would be the mirror image of what goes on now, because we would be saying, well, what is she trying to do? Am I being set up for a robbery, or does she have a bug she wants to pass on to someone else? Because we know the last thing that they want to do is sexually please you and relieve you, and not make you pay something hellish for it later on. That's just what they do. I mean, Cardi B bragged about robbing and drugging dudes. Why is that? Because as a woman in the West, it's socially acceptable for her to brag about that. She can't brag about how she turned tricks and sexually relieved these dudes, and there was no major hell to pay after that. No, she can't brag about that. The only time they can brag about being easy is when they're married. Then they can brag about cheating on their husband in these hair salons. And understand, you all saw Kevin Samuels' video about the hair salon. The hairdresser was talking about what her clients say. Did I not tell you all that my mother told me what the hair salons conversations were like back in 99, 2000, and 2001? Did I not say this? What that hairdresser had to say was mild. What she had to talk about was mild. In a lot of cases, take that lady who said that the same lady, not the same lady, but the lady that was on the same program. Take the other lady who was spending her father's money on a street dude on Kevin Samuels' show. And he said, how about you let me send this to your father? And he cut you off. You're going to spend money on him, at least spend your own money, and then it's your own business. That one. See, that lady was talking that stuff because she is socialized for that. She can brag in the hair salons about how she's spending money on a street dude because of that good dang-a-lang. Well, girl, he worth it. She can say something like that. She can't sit up here and say, well, if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to spend money on a guy that's going to make it later on, make that money back later. She can't say something like that because that's too good of a deal for a normal, straight arrow, straight lace, square dealing man. So y'all, we have to understand they are socialized to be at war with a normal, non-idness man. They're told to be that way. Like, why would you be anything else? You understand? Now fast forward. A man with his phenotype and his height and his build and his football skills and training, even if he was average, he's better to the women than men who are shorter than him and don't play football or basketball and don't hit the weights. Now, those are the men that really, they have more time to study by virtue of what they're not doing. So, let's call it what it is. Now, you take a man like that, married in Alabama more than likely, goes out to Atlanta. Now, I don't know if he married in Atlanta or Tuskegee, but whatever the case is, he was with Miss Jaxn at that point, whether she was Miss Jaxn or not. Goes out to Atlanta, and that is where you have a concentration of some of the best looking sisters in the United States and even from other countries. Now, and not only that, but you are the phenotype they want. That's how he knows. See, he ain't got to have game. As Edward Allen Anderson has already said before, shout out to the Reverend, that man is pre-qualified. He's not just walking up to women that didn't see him looking at them or didn't notice him first. He's not just going up to them and saying, hello, miss, and spitting some kind of game at them. What he's doing is he's going up to the ones that notice it because they notice him. He's out in public. He's already taller. He goes in and they notice him. He's got the height to be noticed and the build to stay noticed. And he's got the phenotype they can afford. They feel socially, I can be seen out in public with this guy. His problem is getting them to fuck the shuck up. Truth be told, if it was me and I simply approached the ones that I saw noticing me, I would have to do it privately first without scaring them. That's a hard thing to do. But I have to do it without scaring them. But see, once able to do that, I'm the one that, if I was going to do that, I'm the one that could do that. Most of the time, they would have husbands. But I would be the one that could do something like that, and they would fuck the shuck up. If they're educated and nice to look at, and I was doing to them and with them what he was doing with them, I'm the one they would keep it a secret from, or for whom they would keep it a secret. They're not going to sit up and tell everyone. They may enjoy it while it's going on, but they're not going to sit up here and tell. They're not going to come out and tell somebody else, wife or not, or boss, anybody. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to tell the imam. They're not going to do any of that stuff. They're going to shut the F up because they don't. You see, these mistresses that came out don't mind their friends knowing that they got him in the bed. Again, there's no shame in that, socially speaking. So what? Hell, they can brag about that. I'm the one they could enjoy, but they can't brag about it. Same with J Cash. If they were with him, chances are they would have already had husbands. But if they were, and if they didn't, they would have told him that. Same with Selecta J Thompson. He's on Facebook, but he's in Facebook jail now. Y'all can check him out on Black Junction. He's active there now. Y'all can check him out there. Selecta J also, and he said it on the interview with me when I interviewed him. When they are already attached, then they don't mind getting with him on the slide, on the slide and on the side, sliding him some of the trim. He done already explained that. Derdick didn't know the game. But the thing is, the environments have shaped all of this because understand, Atlanta is the place where black married couples go to get broken up, whether they know it or not. That's the truth. Young married black couples have been moving there and breaking up ever since the 1990s. I'll never forget a dude named Daryl. I can't remember his last name, but Daryl started with a G. That's why I got them confused. Dude named Daryl from Detroit, Michigan, D-Town, moved to Atlanta back in 2000. He and his family moved there because he got a job where I was working, and I was one of the trainers for his class. This man came down there. He was a family man. Nice dude. Guess what wound up happening? Bruh, less than a year after I trained him and he was now working the position, he was telling me that his wife was just acting a further mucking fool. And I said, bro, was this going on in Detroit? And he said, no, man, this didn't happen until here. And then I said, wait a minute, hold up. So she moves with you to Atlanta. Now, all of a sudden, you're outnumbered by a whole bunch of women, single women that would want you. And she's cutting the fool and acting like this. He said, I know. She doesn't know how these ladies be trying to come at me when they know I'm married. She don't know about that, bro. I told him that. I said to him, that may be why. I mean, I hate to say it, maybe why, but even still, I can't explain how. Because see, I remember I was young, so I knew less then than I know now. I told him I still can't explain how she changed here in Atlanta. And that's the part that doesn't make sense. And maybe that she has to know. Maybe she needs to hear you turn a woman down on the phone and be like, hold up, how'd you get this number? Okay, look. We're working. I'm married. I can't be doing that. I'm not going to. And I'm not going to ruin our working relationship. We get the job done well. I'll see you tomorrow, colleague. You take care, ma'am. Click. Then you punch some things into the phone and act like you delete the number, act like you delete the call. So when she says, who was that? You just be like, doesn't even matter. They ain't going to get what they want. I want to call her back. Too late. I deleted it because I don't want that number saved in the phone. We know, we got each other's work numbers, but then again, it's not something we have to have because we're at work. Oh, hell no, you can't be working with her. No, it depends. As long as she don't act like this at work, we can't because she doesn't want to be on camera coming to my desk for no reason. So no, let's see. We'll find out. I suggested this, and then it was time for me to go. But the point I'm making is that this has been going on, and this is just one story like that. One of my subscribers now, Muslim brother. He went through this. They came in from the Carolinas, and his wife started cutting the fool, acting a further mucking fool for nothing. Like, just acting a fool. And you know what? He didn't take no mess off of her. Daughter or not, she did exactly what he said not to do, and then left the evidence that she left the proof really that she had done it just so he'd see it as he was getting ready to go to work, just to show him that he don't tell her what to do, but he's supposed to pay the bills and everything else. Well, she ran him off. Now they're co-parenting, and she got ticked off. Now this is someone that I mean, I'm gonna tell y'all, this was a Muslima. When people met her, when they were out together as a couple and people met them, they would say, mashallah, because she wore the face veil, the niqab, in Atlanta, even in the summer. This is someone that later on tried to seduce him after they were divorced and got mad because it wasn't working. If he had taken the bait and decided, well, you know, man, it's been a long time, I'm going to go ahead and hit this for old time's sake. If he had taken that bait, she would have lost respect for him. But that's what Atlanta does to you. So understand, I mean, I can tell you, it does this to women. Yeah, I'll tell you one of the worst places, if you are married, one of the worst places to marry an African-American sister, even amongst the Muslims, is Atlanta. That's one of the worst, because they're some of the most hybristophilic. You think Philly's bad, and it probably is. Boy, look at him. Atlanta? Hell, the ones that ain't thoughts are still feminist. And the feminists are going to get in their ear after a while and have them saying, you need to go ahead and be a thought. He's paying the bills. That's what he's supposed to do because he's beta. You need to get out here with some of these alphas that the rest of us out here screwing. And we know how they judge alpha and beta. The alpha is the idness, and the beta is the non-idness. So you could simply just not be a negative stereotype, and now you beta. That's how they view it. And this happens even when they are in their 30s and 40s. So if it's doing this to a lot of the African-American Muslimas in Atlanta, that's what it does to them and ruins even their marriages. What the F you think it was going to do to some men out there that exactly what these women want in their beds, in between their legs, married or not? See, what I'm saying to you while I'm recording this is real simple. I'm simply saying to you that he ain't the only one. He's just the one that's famous. And it's almost a decade since I left the States. I mean, it's now it's more than 7 years since I left the States. Before I know it, I'll blink, and it will have been a decade. It is a decade. It's almost a decade now since I last lived in Atlanta full-time without living somewhere else part-time. That is coming up on a decade. And by that time, it had been over a decade, even then, since I had learned that Atlanta breaks up couples. Now that's Atlanta, and I'm not sitting up here telling you that it's the only place that does it. The reason I'm mentioning that is because Atlanta's been first and foremost in a lot of things that ruin black families and ruin chances for black families to form, let alone stay together. So by now, what I'm saying to you is that other major urban areas probably are the same way. There are enough jobs there, enough things to do in the way of entertainment. Guess what else is out there? Things that'll break y'all up or even stop y'all from forming a couple, let alone a family. I mean, hell, look at Cleveland. You got someone out in Cleveland with that exotic look that well, it will get at least a lot of notices. What does she think? She thinks she can get away with murder damn near. And she said it. That's what's out there, gentlemen. It's not that she's the only one. What I'm simply saying is that you take someone that is mildly attractive, and that's the attitude they're going to have. And they're going to keep that attitude. And they never going to lose it until they get too old, too fat, too funky, and too weighed down with other burdens. Until that day happens, when they see a dip in the attention that they get from men, they are never going to change their attitudes. And this is why I say when you are a young man and they're young, you got to show them a certain type of attitude, whatever environment you're in, small town or big city. You must do so. Because if you don't, these young guys that are coming up that are not even adults yet, not even teens yet, they're going to inherit the same thing. They're going to walk into the same system. At some point, you got to change it. And whatever age group changes, it is going to be the one that sets the example for the younger men. Even though the younger men have more hormones in the system, hell, it's not that much easier than it is for the women. What's the one thing that the women have that the men don't? It's not that they don't want them draws. It's that they're picky because they have a sense of self-worth, and they don't really have much of that. We know their self-esteem is fragile. The combat veteran told us that. So what does that leave us with? It means that they simply feel superior to you, and that's why they're difficult for you. The only reason they feel so superior to you is because no one is telling us that we're worth anything as men, especially without the validation of these wicked witches of the West. We hear this when we're little boys. This gets reinforced for us by the teenage boys, and then we walk into it and inherit the same thing, and so it continues. So it's really not the youth and the hormones that make it have to be this way. They got their own hormones. When they don't get attention from you, they will come to you and seek it. I've seen that happen. 6th grade. I saw it in a middle school. They finally experimented in one middle school with separating the boys from the girls, except for the reading class and the first thing in the morning for about 45 minutes. After that, they went to different classes. They had different teachers. And guess what wound up happening? Them boys' reading scores went up that very year. Now, they knew they couldn't go to the 7th graders who had not had this done to them last year in 6th grade and do this because they would have rebelled. They knew that wasn't going to happen, so they phased it in with the first 6th grade class to come in after a particular year. They started in 2008. When the 2008-2009 school year began, that was when the 2008-2009 school year began. They took that incoming 6th grade class and they did this and phased it in with them. So by now, I bet you their scores are up. But what happened during the break times was very telling. During the break times, the boys were not going down to the girls' end of the hallway and bothering them. The girls were coming over to the boys' end of the hallway to see their friends. How you been? I'm good. What's happening? You straight? Yeah. That's what was happening. They didn't know really how to act. You saw them become game goofy. You realized that they were getting it in their heads that they were going to need looks and game to get these guys. That's what wound up being the case. And this was in Atlanta. If it can work there, it can work elsewhere. But again, what I'm getting at here is that environment, Atlanta, did to Derdick what it does to a lot of men and women alike. It's just that he's the one we saw. And that's because, of course, he sought the publicity. He was out there simping and pandering and telling them what they wanted to hear. So I'm not saying that the fame is our fault or that the infamy that he now goes through, that he experiences, is necessarily our fault. It is him. What I'm simply saying is that the environment is primed for that. And so understand it's happening to many people. It is actually happening to married couples in general. That's what it is. That's what it's there for. And it's waiting. So if you are half of a married couple, or you at least know who you want to marry, and you're getting ready to move to Atlanta, you got a higher chance of you all surviving together if she stays in your hometown. And yeah, if she stays there, then otherwise. Or if you're homebodies, you're not the type to go out and be sitting in traffic all that time. Those are the two ways it could work. And even then, what you're going to see on TV with them cable bundles that they got out now, like Home and Garden, that's going to stir up her materialism. So I'm just letting y'all know that's what's out there. That's what's waiting on you. And I know that if it was Atlanta 2 decades ago, it's more than Atlanta that's able to do that right now. I don't know if Houston does this. I don't know if Dallas does this to you. I'm really not sure, but I do know, I am very sure that at some point there's some other cities like this that are now just as bad. They just break up married couples. And I'm going to ask you this. If you know of other such cities, put that in the comment section. I'm sorry for taking so long. Normally, I record these things about twice before I settle on the right version and get everything I wanted to say succinctly. But in this case, I don't have time. So you're hearing one of the rougher versions of what I record. But yeah, let me know what other cities are like that too. And also, go to Akili Nyeusi on Facebook. Go to my Facebook page. I ask a question. I want you gentlemen to tell us about this. How often, how much does it happen in which a sister tries to read you and thinks she has you all figured out within a few minutes of knowing you, or like right at the beginning of a date or something? And what kind of stuff do they get right and what kind of stuff do they get wrong? I'm going somewhere with this. Thanks for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual non-select male power just because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.